He looks weird. He looks, I don't know how he looks. He look like, I don't know, you know, he's got a big thing of thing, but weird people just have a weird look to me. You know, I mean, a drunk person, I don't see too many of them, but they just look distinguishable to me, like they're drunk. Yep, everybody's being, and this is what you got to be careful of, is being around people who want to suck you into stuff that's not right. Okay, I mean, some of the photos were kind of humorous, you know, but in a real world, stay away from people that drink. Because if they drink, they're only going to try to get you to do the same thing. So if they say, oh, I'm going to a bar, say, well, have fun, see you. Well, I wouldn't say have fun, but I'd say, okay, well, you have a good one. Well, same thing, but in other words, I'm saying goodbye. I'm not going. Now, this is a thing you definitely do not want to do. This is why you don't want to start bad habits. Because, see, this individual here, he's drinking, but he's also behind the wheel of a car, behind the steering wheel. Okay? Now, this is what can be a definite no-no. It's not like he's in the passenger seat. It's not like he's at home. You know, he's behind the wheel of a car. And so hopefully this will happen before he takes off or before he gets too far. Hopefully there'll be a police officer standing out there giving him a breathalyzer. You know, number one, I think it's illegal to even have liquor in your car. I think, I'm not really sure, but I believe it is. But hopefully he'll get stopped and get a breathalyzer and become arrested. And it's even worse when you have more than one person. Why? Because now and you can see this is over in an international country, because the steering wheel is on the right side. Our steering wheel in America is on the left side. But you see, now you got two people behind the wheel of a car, which could be even more unfortunate, because sometimes you get somebody in there that'll coach a drunk person to do something that he would not otherwise do had he been sober. Like race a train. Oh, dude, there's a train. Let's beat it. And he's drunk, so he's listening. Well, hopefully a cop will stop them before this occurs. You know, he's out there driving and he's not fit to drive. Okay? He's not fit to drive. Then next thing you know, as a result of him being out there under the influence, unfit to drive, now this occurred. Okay? An accident. A horrible accident. Now you have someone fighting for their lives. Now you have someone fighting for their lives. Why is this up? Now you have this individual who could have just been an innocent pedestrian. An innocent motorist. You know, that just was in the wrong place, unfortunately, at the wrong time. Now she's in the hospital fighting for her life as a result of that drunk driver. And she might have had a child. She didn't make it in the hospital, and now she has a child that has lost her parent. How can you make something like this up to a child? What amount of money can you compensate a child for the loss of their parent? You can't. You cannot. There's no way this can be made up, and there's no amount of compensation that can take the place of a loving parent. And what's even worse is when there are multiple deaths caused by drunk driving. A mother, a daughter, a father, and 2 sons. A mother, a father, a daughter, and 2 sons. That's a tragedy. That is truly a tragedy. So please, do not drink. Just don't start it. Just do not start drinking. That's the smartest thing. It's just never to start. Just don't start. Because if you never start drinking, you can never have to say and be remorsefully sorry for something like that. If you just never start drinking. So, do not start drinking, please. Now we're going to go to greed. The definition of greed reads, a selfish desire to have more. That's greed. A selfish desire to have more. So let's take a look. Greed. Now these are some humorous photos, illustrations that were just out there. But a person that is so greedy. Now you have one man here who's got a small plate and he's just eating. He's a small man, not overeating, and he's just got a small plate. On the other hand, you got this huge giant of a man that is so greedy that he's eating his own money. He's just so greedy. He can never get enough. Once he ate that, you have to still keep filling his plate. Just greedy. So let's learn something about being greedy. Clenching, holding on to money. Holding on and not wanting to share. Not wanting anybody else to have it. But just clenching it tight, not wanting to let it go. It's mine. It's mine. Greed. Greed. And everybody wanting it. Just everybody competing it for it. Just a $1 bill, but everybody's competing for that $1 bill. Mine. It's mine. It's all mine. I'm not sharing with anyone. It only belongs to me. You throw money. If you throw money, you just throw $100 bills, and these are $1 bills, but you throw 1s and 50s into a group of people. What do you think they're going to do? It's some of them that's going to dab on top of that money just to block people from getting it. You're going to have some people picking up little pieces, but it's going to be some people that's going to be so greedy they're going to dab on top of it to get as much of it as they can possibly get. And it'll probably turn out to be counterfeit. Serve them right. Or play little Monopoly money or something like that. But it just looked real. But you'd be surprised what people will do for money. Greed. You see something, you have a desire to just get more and more and more and more. It's never enough. I made this much this year. My goal next year is to make this much. Then after you made that much, my goal next year is to make this much. Never satisfied. Always trying to get more and more. Okay. Gullibly is the con artist's best, or gullibility, is the con artist's best friend. Gullibility. Gullibility Being gullible is the con artist's best friend. He is the type person that's greedy. He will use deceitful tactics to con people out of their money. A con artist. Okay? Not knowing that he's got to reap what he's sown. Let me read this scripture. Okay, it says, woe to thee that spoileth, like a con artist, or somebody who's just a mean person, or bully, or however. And thou, it says, woe unto thee that spoileth, or a thief, and it can even be a thief or a robber. But woe to thee that spoileth, and thou was not spoiled. Okay, so woe unto thee that spoileth other people, but you yourself is not being spoiled by anybody, and dealeth treacherously, and they dealt treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Now let's read that again. Woe unto thee that spoileth, and thou wast not spoiled. Woe unto you who go around doing dirt for no reason, and nobody's even bothering you. You just going around bullying people, and nobody's bothering you. And you deal it treacherously. You doing devious, evil acts, and nobody is doing wrong to you. It's just you doing wrong to them. But when thou ceases, when you stop your evil ways, when you stop being mean to people and spoiling people, thou shalt be spoiled. That's when it's going to backfire in your face. And when thou shalt make an end to dealing treacherously, when you decide to stop doing dirt, then they shall deal treacherously with thee. Then your own dirt is going to backfire in your face. So understand that reaping what you sow is universal. Okay? So old con man thinks he's getting away today, but he'll pay tomorrow. And sometimes what's unfortunate, he will pay through his kids. Because sometimes God will smite your kids to hurt you. Like he did with other kids, where they forefathers and mothers sinned, but the kids ended up suffering. Why? Because we love our kids more than we love ourselves. So when God want to knock you down, he'll knock you down through your kids. Why? Because when your kids hurt, you really hurt. When your kids suffer, you really suffer. I mean, we would rather take the pain than our kids go through it. If our kids were in a hospital sick, we would want to take their place so that we would suffer in their stead so that they could be fine, and we would rather take their suffering. This is why God deals with your children sometimes. When you do evil, he'll put it on your kids because he knows you are going to hurt for them. And it's unfortunate that they suffer for their parents, but God will deal with your seed when you do evil. He will put it on your seed so that you will suffer. Now it reads here, our fathers have sinned and or not, and we have borne their iniquities. Now let's read that again. Our fathers are the ones who committed the sin. Our fathers fathers have sinned. They're the ones who sinned. And or not, that means they've died. They're not even here anymore. But yet we have borne, we have adopted, we have inherited their iniquities, their wrongs, their sins fell upon us. Understand that. That's what happened. And then sometimes God will punish your sin, your kids right before your face. But sometimes, now, depending upon what all circumstances take place, they were able to recognize why they were suffering. But when we came over here to America, we did not necessarily recognize what all had taken place, because by that time, our ancestors' generations have already forsook God. And they stopped teaching their kids, and they started serving other gods. So we was already messed up before we came here. But see, God is about to clean us up now. Okay? And another depiction of greed. Okay. And understand that money is just a symbol. Money is a symbol. He wants so much. Like money can buy expensive homes and cars and travel all over the world. It's what money can do. See, when you see him eating the money, it's not necessarily saying he's eating the money. He wants so much money because money will buy him the things that his fleshly, it will buy him so much fleshly, tangible, materialistic things to make him comfortable. Food, clothes, trips, whatever, all kinds of things that people use money for. And he just wants it all. He just wants it all. Give me everything that I can get in this world. And you do have people that are actually like that. That they want as much money as they can get for themselves. And another unfortunate thing, we women, what all will we do for money? Okay, I mean, what all will we do for money? Or have done for money, will do for money? And the same goes with men. I mean, what all will people do for money? Okay, what all will we do for money? You know, you got men stripping. You got people that have money and they are selfish with it and don't want to share with any or help anybody. It's only about them and what they can do to gain more money. Okay, drugs. We will desire money for drugs, drug dealers, or it's, well, not so much the one who's taking the drug, but the one who is selling the drug. He sells the drug for what? For money. Okay? A drug dealer. Strippers are out there stripping for what? To get tips, to make money. This drug dealer is out there selling drugs to what? Get money. To get money. Okay? And this is not like a black and white thing. This is just depicting pictures to give you an idea. So don't look at it as a color, because all ethnic races and groups do these things. Okay, all of them do. I obviously did not organize this folder. I'm sorry, because this folder is everywhere. She's doing this for what? For money. For money. Okay? So we do all kinds of things for money. What are we on? Greed? Okay, greed. Yeah. For money. Women will sell their bodies for what? Money. Money. Okay? Greed. The greed just to get money, to gain money. They will go out and rob, steal, and kill for what? Money. Greed. This is what greed leads to. A selfish desire to have more. Okay, that's the definition of greed. a selfish desire. We will rob, you know. This is a robber stealing money. Okay. Sin. This is a hitman. I couldn't even think of the name till I read it at the bottom. A hitman. He gets paid to commit murder. He makes money by killing people, and he don't even have to know them. He doesn't even have to have a motive to kill them. It's just that somebody gave him money, so now he's going to go out and kill somebody for money. Wow. You know, but this stuff, I mean, you know, this stuff is happening. And all kinds of stuff can create this. I mean, wars, whatever, you know, people do all kinds of things for money. Well, I guess that's another way of assassin, because when you think about it, those are bloody bullets. So this is like an assassin. He murders for money. A hitman is hired for money. He's hired to murder somebody for money. And sometimes people who do all kinds of evil acts, the money is considered blood money. Why? Because somebody died for this money. You know, for whatever reason, whether you sold drugs and people who bought the drugs gave you this money for the drugs and they died, they overdosed. Their blood is on this money. It's not stained on this money like this, but you obtain this money through illegal bad acts that cost somebody's life. It's blood money. Or put it this way, like over in African nations where they say that they have blood diamonds, people who have lost their lives over diamonds. You know, they force people to look for diamonds, and once they get these diamonds, some of them die because why? It's a movie. I wish I could think of what that movie is, but I can't think of what this movie is. But it kind of depicts a picture of just a lot of greedy people who were looking for diamonds, and they would go out their way to try to get these diamonds, and they would murder. They would just do all kind of evil acts just to obtain money. So that's greed. Money, what people would do for money. Just greedy people. Now this is slothful. Okay. And again, you know, these pictures have some humorous types of pictures as well. You know, because it's hard to find pictures for some of this stuff. So you almost have to show some humorous stuff with it to get some pictures. But slothful is defined in the dictionary as laziness. Okay, so we didn't read any movies. Okay, we did not. I can't really see this. Slothfulness. Let me see if I can look up slothfulness in scripture. Okay. And I know I'm taking a long time with these videos, but you have to understand that I'm trying to cover as much as I can while I have the time to do it, and I don't want to rush through it and I end up saying, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that, and then I'm wanting to try to backtrack or something, you know. So I'm trying to just take my time and do these things. And I know you're saying, hey, really? Yeah, well, you might be a fast learner, but not everybody in the world is. Okay? So I try to do things where if a person is, you know, some people are visual, some people are audio, some people are hands-on. You know, people learn in different ways. And so the people that are visual, I've shown images. Some people that are more verbal, well, then they can read the scriptures along with me, you know. And some people that are audio or just listening. So you don't know how people learn. So you may be a quick learner and you getting it quick, but then there's others that may not learn as quick. So be patient for at least their sake. So I'm just trying to take my time with it, and what's more important to me is helping someone to get it. Okay, this is slothful. Oh, we reread slothful is definition of laziness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule. Those who are actively just continually persisting shall be the rulers. They shall be the bosses. Okay, it says, but the slothful shall be their tributor, shall be under tribute. That means the slothful are going to be the workers. Okay, the diligent are going to be the employers, and the slothful are going to be the employees. They're going to be the ones that are going to have the job of working for someone else. Okay, and then 18 and 9, and then I'm going to show pictures. Okay. Okay. It says, he also that is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. So if you lazy in your work, then 9 times out of 10 you ain't going to appreciate nothing. You're just going to waste and take things for granted. You know, you don't care, basically, in a sense. But I'm going to show some photos and then I'm going to move on. Because, like I said, I've gotten quite a few scriptures, and I can't go through all these scriptures. Sloth, okay? And we know there's an animal called a sloth, and he moves very slowly through the branches, you know. I don't know how it is that they move so slowly, because they're not big animals. They're monkey-sized animals. And this is slothful. Somebody's feet under the covers, not getting out of bed, and the sun is up. It's daytime and they still in bed sleep. Slothful. And this is called a sloth. And what is the sloth doing? He is sleeping. Okay. Kind of looks like a mummy, doesn't he? Okay. And then we got a sloth that's up. That's actually moving around and smiling. He must be happy. Okay. I didn't want you to think that all sloths didn't do nothing but sleep, so I found a photo of one that was actually active as well. And here's another one that's active. That's moving around on a branch. Okay. Because, I mean, you show one picture and I don't want no depictions that, oh, all those things do is sleep. No, they move around. I just am trying to show you what sloth means. And this is a person that looked like he just has had a long day. Or he was just had a long day of watching TV. I don't know. But anyway, that's sloth that's just being asleep. He's not even in his bed. He's just knocked out on the couch. Another sloth. Slothful appearing person. Not in bed, just laid out. Looked like he'd been eating food before he fell out. Snacks. But this is sloth. Sloth is laziness. Now that's a really big mistake, is if you're slothful on the job. You know, you're there to work, not sleep. So get some rest the night before so that you won't be on your job tired. Or get some rest that night. Don't be up all night and you know you have to work the next day. Now this is really slothful. I mean, really. You got the remote in your hands and you too lazy to put your hand up. Okay, you got something in both hands, but you too lazy to put your hands up to get, put the food in your mouth and they corn curls. You know, but that's lazy. I mean, that is definitely slothful. Yep, just tight, just looking like you do not want to move. Just, you know, or he looked like he could just be bored. Really not so much slothful, but just bored. Now, he really looked slothful. He looked like somebody that if you can get him up to just do anything, you've accomplished something. No, wow, look at her. Or him. Let me see. Okay, well, whoever. Now, that is not only slothful, but they're not even clean. Look at all those clothes all over. It's as if they just really do not care. So, excuse me, it look like he's just lounging. Not necessarily slothful, but just chilling out on the back. I've done that before. Just, I fell asleep. My kids were visiting their friends or relatives, and I was just on the back swing on the back patio, and I was the only one there, and I had the front door locked, and I was in the back, and I had the back door screen open. I had the door open, but the back door screen was shut, so the bugs couldn't get in, and I was just laying on the couch, and as it was, on the rocking swing, and as it was kind of rocking, it put me to sleep. It put me to sleep. I happened to wake up. It was like 2 something in the morning. I said, ooh, let me get in here. Yeah, I got up. It was 2 something in the morning. I never did that again. One time was enough for me, you know. But he doesn't necessarily look, well, it looked like he just came home from a long day and he's just watching TV. But at least it appears that he had worked that day. So I don't know to say that that's slothful. Now this is slothful when the alarm clock goes off, and you got a hammer prepared to break it. So that means he's not ready to get up. And here's a bear or something, but that's slothful. He's just laying on the, what do you call that, branch. Just laying over the branch. Not a care in the world. Okay. That's slothful. Maybe he's just taking a nap for the time being. Okay, he's just yawning. I don't know to say that this is really slothful. He's just yawning. Yep, here we go. Now he's slothful. He's like, I don't care, whatever. And this is my favorite here. I like panda bears anyway. They're just so cute, but they are wild animals. And they can be very dangerous. A guy, he was near a panda's cage, and he had his back towards the cage, and the panda managed to reach his arm beyond the bars and grabbed his jacket and tried to pull it into the cage with him. And some people had to grab him and get him out of his jacket so that the panda would not be able to reach him, to get him in the cage, as he was diligently trying to get him in that cage with him. So you have to understand that animals can be so cute, but they're still animals, and some of them, they are wild animals. So you can't just assume that you're okay. You got to understand, this animal here has claws. And once he grabbed that guy's jacket, he could not set himself free. Let's see if we can pull these claws up. Okay, well that's hair. That's actually hair that is pointing out. But in order for them hairs to be pointing out, it had to have been something to push them out like that. But understand that bears are strong, and you can't just assume because they look so cute that they so cute. I mean, maybe it's babies, that's one thing because they're babies. But when they become adults, you got to understand, you can't assume that these animals are friendly. That's how people lose their lives, thinking, oh, he's so cute, and then they let them walk up to him, and next thing you know, they're tackling them, and they can't understand how that happened. So understand that they are wild animals. So even though that's my favorite one out of all of them, be careful with animals. Okay, so wrath is number 2. Wait a minute, let's see. Okay, wrath is defined as strong, excessive anger. Strong, I can hardly see this. Strong and excessive anger, I believe. Okay, strong, excessive, vengeful anger. Okay, so let's go through wrath. Okay, wrath. That means somebody's ticked off. And that's something that the Bible warns us about. It tells us in the Bible, because everybody in this world is flesh. And there are times when people are going to do things to piss you off. But it tells you to don't take up arms. Okay, well, excuse me. Okay. Why am I not getting this? Okay, you might become angry in this life, which 9 times out of 10, that's going to be pretty hard not to do, because there's all kind of tricks and schemes that the enemy will, exterior temptations that the enemy will bring at you. Okay, it says, but in Ephesians, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Wrath is being angry. And it says, let not the sun go down upon your wrath. That means forgive. Don't carry anger. If somebody does something, just let them, if you can't, sometimes when people are doing road rages in the street or whatever, they may cut you off or do something rude. Just let them go, because if they keep operating in ignorance, it's just a matter of time before they're going to meet someone on their same level, and they're both going to be out of a vehicle because they're probably going to crash into one another. But this is wrath, being so angry, being so thoroughly pissed for whatever reason. Who's to say what could bring about wrath? I don't experience wrath much because I get rid of it. I stay away from people that would bring about all this drama and confusion and physical nonsense. Now here's some guy that's so angry that he's beating up someone. Wrath, anger, excessive anger. He's so angry that he's beating a person up. And here is 2 women, or I think, let me see. Okay, there's 2 women about to throw down. That's what we used to call fighting, throw down. 2 women about to throw down. Come on now, really, you 2 are grown, you're adults. So you got women, I mean, people, period. It ain't no women, men, black or white. It's just in general, wrath. Because anybody could get caught up in this stuff. Wrath. You know, that looks like maybe an officer holding down someone because of the way he's holding them down. He's not holding them down like a street fighter would. He's holding them down like a person who has been trained a certain way to subdue a person. Okay, so that looks like, and this is people, they get into an argument, and next thing you know, out of nowhere, because for whatever reason one wrong word was said, now all of a sudden you got somebody lashing out at them. And now here you got somebody being vindictive and vengeful because he wrote down near, okay, he obviously took this person out, and then he wrote besides him, probably in his blood, one down, meaning that he's got more to go. This is only one. Now I'm going to get the next one. See what I mean? These things are what will send you to hell, because it leads to, I remember once when I was on my job, I used to work in public relations, and I met a young man that was looking for some guy, and he just sat up there and told me that he helped the guy with $200 and he wouldn't pay him back. He said, when I see him, I'm going to kill him. And I said, well, let me ask you something. You know, and he said, so what's up? I said, do you have any children? And he said, yeah, I got a little daughter. I said, well, that guy's going to win twice. I said, because number one, if you don't get the 200 back and you do kill him, now he has caused you to lose your daughter, that your child has to now be raised up without her father in her life. So not only are you probably not going to get the 200 back, but once you do kill him, he's won, because now you will never be able to be a father to your daughter. And she has to be raised alone without you, and you're vitally important in her life. So by the time he and I got finished talking, he said, you know, God put you in my path. And I said, well, bless him. If he put me in your path to help you not to destroy someone else's life as well as your own and even your child's, then bless God. So you never know when God might put you somewhere to work through you to prevent something, you know. Now this is another just wrath, people fighting for who knows what. You never know what people fight for. And these are just people fighting, basically. Okay, so, and that's all that's about. It's just chaos, basically. Okay, so that's all this is saying. Wrath, anger, excessive anger, vengeful anger, and fighting. Okay. Now that guy, I don't know if they set him on fire for real or how that happened, but okay, so let's go to the next one. Envy. Now I can't hardly see because I closed the curtain and I don't have any on any other lights so that you can see the screen, so I'm gonna have to turn this on to read this first. Envy, wanting what someone else has. Okay, so we're going to go to some scriptures that talks about envy, and then let me pull it up first so I don't lose it. Oh no, we just did this one. Envy. Okay, now let's read about envy as it reads in the Bible. And as I pull it up, then I'll cut down the light. It's just that I can't see. Okay, what did we just do? guess I went to that scripture. Okay. And I'm only just going to read 2 scriptures out of this. It says, "Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all day long." Don't be envious of people that's doing wrong, like that real pretty big nice car that drug dealer's driving. I wish I had that. I wish I had something like that. Don't be envious of others. Okay? Don't envy. Don't want what somebody else has. I think I'm on Ezekiel 35. Okay, let's see what's in Ezekiel 35. Is this Ezekiel? Let's see. This basically includes the word, but let's see what this says. "Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will even do according to thine heart, to thine anger, and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them, and when I have judged thee." Okay. "Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will even do according to thy anger." That means he's going to fulfill whatever your anger is, "and according to thy envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them." I don't know who them is. "And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee." That means that whatever I get, I'm not sure what that is. That saying, "I will do according to thy anger and according to thy envy, which thou hast used out of hatred against them." So whatever you wish against your enemies, "and I will make myself known among them," among your enemies, "when I have judged you." That means that what you want against your enemies out of anger and hate, God will turn around and put it on you so that your enemies can see it happen to you. It says, "I will make myself known among them." He's going to show himself among them by what he does against you. I think I experienced something similar to that before, where I had purposed something or desired something against someone, and God put it on me. I said, whoa, okay, I won't be doing that no more. Yeah, I think I experienced that before. Because people do things like when you leave your property, they'll come around and do things, and so you'll say, "Lord, I wish that this would happen to them," and it turned around and happened to me. But it only made matters better for me in the end. But I'm just saying, I ended up, at the time it wasn't fun, but but let's look at what envy is about. At the time I went through that, it wasn't funny. But now that I kind of look back, I'm in a much better position. Okay, so we're talking about envy. Okay. And once again, envy is wanting what someone else has. It's like coveting. And I think that some envious people kind of can be detected if you catch them off guard by their eyes. Their eyes just look like they are plotting something. Like they would like something like they have deviousness in them. Like they have just some non-trustableness in them. You can find envy when there's a girl and there's something about her that the others don't like, or that she's so together, she's so sophisticated and organized. She thinks she's something. She must think she's this. I mean, and then they can't even tell her what her name is. New girl on the block, just started the job, and now the boss is like, oh wow, she seems really nice, and yeah, right. She ain't this and she ain't that. You're gonna run into these types of people that are gonna hate you for, who's to really say. But they look at a person and they don't even know them, but I hate them. I just can't stand that girl. It's just something about her I just don't like, you know. Wow, she thinks she's better because she's making more money, or she's got more money, you know. It's all kind of reasons that people can feel these ways. I just really don't know. But why not just be happy? If somebody is doing good, why hate them because they're doing good? Or maybe they are doing better than you. Or maybe they do have something that's better than yours. Maybe they do have it going on better than you. But why hate them? I mean, why not just be happy for them? If you are nice and happy for them, they might tell you the secret of their successes. Then you can do the same and you won't have a reason to be hating on people. Why not just use that negative and turn it into a positive? Why be jealous because she's giving her plant food and you're just watering yours? And now you're wondering, ours started off at the same time. How come hers is so much bigger? You know, why is her plant doing so much better? Well, why don't you just ask her what her secret is? What kind of plant food do you use? You know, I mean, and up in the offices, I can imagine everybody competing for a raise and for a position. You know, man, I bet you he think he's going to get that position, but I'm the one who deserves it. You know, it's just any kind of thing that we can come up with. If it ain't one thing, it's another with humans. You know, boy, I wish I was the one that he was talking to. I really liked him. I've been liking him since elementary. He don't even act like I exist. She just came here. She hasn't even been here 1 week. She just now coming here and he's all up in her face. You know, I mean, you know, it's amazing. We can just come up with all kinds of stuff to hate on each other. So listen, and especially, I'm telling you, especially women. I mean, I hate to say it, but when it comes to being jealous-hearted and just, oh man, women got it down pat. I mean, and they are so plotting. I mean, if a woman is envious and jealous of you, you better really watch yourself. Because, man, no telling what in the heck they plotting. So, my logic is, if you see it, stay away from it. You know, just stay away from it. And, you know, even though you see where women are envious of another girl with a guy, it's vice versa. Men do the same. And they'll even go out the way sometimes to bust up a relationship because they're trying to get that same woman, you know. So this happens on both ends, you know. Then they can sometimes say, dang, he's always got to be the one to come out on top. I get tired of him always. You turn around, he the only one, he's getting all the top bonuses, you know, and or he's always the first to complete his task, and the boss is always patting him on the back. You know, it's always something that we can create to be, what are we on? Envy? envious of someone. Now, this to me is dangerous. You know, if I ever have my back turned and I happen to glance back, and sometimes I'll do that, I'll talk to a person nice and friendly, and then I'll turn my back to walk away, and then I'll take a real quick glance back to catch their to catch their expression, facial expression off guard, to see what they're really looking like when my back is turned. Try that sometimes. Be talking real nice to a person you know that dislikes you, and then after you say bye and walk away, walk a few steps and turn back real quickly and look at their eyes. You might see some deviousness like that. I saw that with a sibling before. I saw them and I gave them a hug and said hello to them, and I walked away. I took a few steps and walked right back and looked at them, and they didn't even know I was looking at them. And I was watching their gestures, and they weren't even aware that I was watching them. Then when they looked up, and they were sitting down, but when they looked up to look back at me, then I turned my back and kept walking. So I've always been one that I just like to know who my enemies are. That's all. I just want to know who they are. Because once I learn who my enemies are, I got it from there. Just knowing your enemies is vitally important. And you don't have to be an enemy to them, but it's important to know that they're an enemy to you, because that makes you to be aware of them. Whenever they come around, be careful what you say, be careful what you do, and do not trust them, because you know that they're not trustable. Now this is more like covetousness. She's got an apple, which is more healthy for her, but she'd rather have the junk candy bar that the other girl has. That's more like coveting, you know. But I guess you can throw envy in there too, because she's envious that she gets to get a sweet treat, and, you know, maybe because I didn't finish up all my dinner, I just get an apple. You know, you never really know how people can flip envy and different words around. But stop hating on people. You know, it only makes you ugly. You're the one with that frown down face, and you're only making your own self ugly. So it's not hurting the person that you're hating on, because as you can see, she's smiling and she's not concerned. I mean, me myself, I wouldn't turn my back to an enemy, but you know, I would always keep an enemy at bay, and I would not turn my back to an enemy, especially if I knew they were an enemy. And you know, when envy gets to this point where you're touching someone, where you're grabbing someone, you're going too far. I mean, wanting what somebody else has, there would be no reason for you to reach a point where you're grabbing them because you're just that hateful of them or envious of them, to where you're putting hands on people. You shouldn't be doing that, if in fact it leads to something along those lines. Now, another form of envious people, you just bought something new and you brought it home, and now you got spies. Don't want to come and ask you about it, because they don't want you to think that they're nosy, when in fact they're very nosy. And then when they look at how nice it is, now it's like, dang, how is it that they, you know, it's always something to complain about. How is it that they manage that, you know? So you got people that will spy on you. And like I said before, you got to watch people, because if they're envious, you don't know what they may or may not do while your back is turned. So never put your back to an enemy. You know, if her front was to the enemy with that knife, she could at least kick her in the stomach, and that would cause her to drop, and then she could put a knee to the face, and then she could just take that knife out of her hand and just keep on moving. Because if somebody makes it a point to try to stab me, I will protect myself. And I'm hoping that that will never even be the case. And I mean, even at my age, but even when I was really younger, if I'd have saw something like that, sister girl would have went down. I mean, because I'd have put her down. and she would have had to know some very good karate to, or some type of self-defense course to be able to have managed that. Because when you're a reflex person and you've been brought up around boys to box and wrestle, you see something like that, you go into defense mode and you automatically start protecting yourself. Now, I'm not the type that would commit a murder or to try to harm somebody, but I'll put enough of a whooping on her where she'll never play that game with me again. I'm the type, I wouldn't hospitalize her, but I would put enough of a whooping on her where she will say, I ain't ever bothering that girl again. I didn't think you would. Because see, you can be a peaceable person and you can try your best to follow peace with all you can, but you got some people that are so evil that they will pursue you because they've taken that as a weakness. They think that when a person avoids you that they're afraid of you. No, people are just trying to be at peace. They're just trying to keep the peace. They're not trying to be about trouble. They just come to work a job and they just leave. They're not trying to create oppositions. They're not trying to create conflict. They're just trying to perform their job so that they can, at the end of the week or whatever, receive their earnings, go and about their business. One good thing, in my opinion, that if you work with a person, it's probably best to keep them out of your personal life, because sometimes when things go wrong and they know your business, then now you got a problem because they're going to air it all to everybody on the job, or for the most part, heck, they'll even make up lies. But if you really just say hi to people, you don't really associate too much with people, then people will have doubt as to whether or not if your story is even legit. Because we see her come, we see her work, but when she is off, she leaves. So your story is questionable. She's probably just talking about her because she's just jealous. Yeah. See, people will say, because we know for a fact that she's about business. So how you carry yourself will have a lot to do with whether or not if people will fall for stupidity. Now, this is another horrible situation. I wish I could pull that all the way up. Okay, well, anyways, the writing associated with this story, these two girls here was jealous of this girl here. Let me see if I can pull her up a little better. And those two girls, out of being jealous and envious of her, let me see. Okay, there we go. Okay, now this is still with her face kind of messed up, because you can even see like the little scar tissue there and whatnot, and her nose is not formed right. But this is the story behind this, according to what was written before I posted this. It came with the picture. These two girls here were jealous of this girl here, and they poured acid. They poured acid all over her face. I guess one must have held her down, probably her. She looks tomboyish, probably and then too, she looks like she'd be a headache, kind of one of those who laughs at people and talks about people and criticizes people. And then she's highly materialistic with the earrings and the necklace and stuff. So, and then she's probably using her because she knows that she will beat people up for her. So she'll say, well, if you want to be my friend, you do what I say when I say. And she say, okay, well, go beat that girl up because I don't like her. So this is the flunky, probably the flunky. But the flunky is probably the one who held her down, and possibly was the one who poured this acid. They poured acid on her face and just distorted, just burned her face. Some type of acid they put on her or threw on her because they were jealous of her. So teenagers, wow, just being born a nice, and she's not an unattractive person, but see, she might have been in competition with her because the guy she might have liked her. And she might have even liked that guy. Generally, it's over stuff like that. Getting into it over some boy. And there have been men that have died even getting into it over women. So this type of thing can happen when you have someone that's envious of you. Okay, and it is so unfortunate that things can go this far before something's done about it. So if your kid is telling you that they're having problems at school, please do not ignore it. Go and see about your child, okay? Go and find out what the problem is with your child and find somebody that can help you. Make the principal aware and let them know that we're reaching out to you for help. We need for you to contact this young lady's mother, and make her aware that your child is bullying my child. And if you can't do anything about it, then I'll involve the police. And you start filing complaints with the police before it gets out of control. Because if that parent cannot control that child, then you need to get the law involved. Because you gave her a major chance by going to the parent before you went to the law, hoping that the parent could let her know, don't say anything and don't go near her anymore ever. And the same with even the other girl's parent. I mean, it's really hard for teenagers today. I do sympathize with them. I mean, when you hear about some elementary school aged kid going to the school to shoot up the school, or teenagers going to an elementary school or junior high or high school or whatever and shooting up people before they kill themselves. This is, and who's to say that some of this stuff isn't as a result of being bullied? Being bullied to the point where they can't handle it anymore, and so they go looking for somebody's gun to go and kill these people who have been bullying them. So get this stuff nipped early. Listen to your kids. When they tell you that they're having a problem, do not ignore it. Take action. Take action. Go and find out, investigate what's going on, and get involved. The kid is telling you this because they're reaching out for help. This is the reason why they're trying to tell you about what's going on. So do not brush them off. Why? Because they came to you because they needed you. Do not drop the ball. There was one kid, was a black kid. He played football at a predominantly white school. And there was some teenage kids walking around in long black coats. And they were racist. And so the black boy was trying to tell his father about this group. And his father ignored it. Well, one day, them black long-coated groups, or 2 or 3 of them, or however, came and shot up the whole school. They specifically sought out this one black football player and made sure that they killed him before they killed themselves. They had already pre-planned that they were not going to survive that. They had already pre-planned their suicide that day. But before they died, they made sure that they killed that young boy. Well, now the father has to live with that regret his entire life, because that kid came to him, and that kid made him aware of this group, and he reached out to him with concerns about that group, and that father did not do anything to help him. Now that kid's in the grave, and that father has to live with that the rest of his life. The fact that he could have helped him and could have possibly prevented him being shot up at that school. But can you imagine when a kid reached out to you for help and you did not help him? You just thought, oh, well, that was something that would pass. No, a kid came to you because he needed you. So when a kid comes to you with the need, be there. Help him. I remember once some girls were jealous of my daughter because of how she looked or whatever. And some girl made a threatening comment to her, and she came and told me. And I said, when you go back to school in the morning, let the teacher know. So she told the teacher. The teacher's response was, oh, just ignore them. They're not going to do anything. So when she came home and told me that, I contacted that teacher. I said, you know, my daughter brought the situation home to me, but I was giving you the chance to do your job. I said, now she came to you because I know I sent her to you. And she expressed what she expressed to me to you. And your response was, oh, just ignore them. They're not going to do anything. No, ma'am. I said, she came to you because she needs help. And if you don't do your job, I will go over your head. And I said, I expect for you to get this nipped. Contact the principal, contact that girl's parent. And I said, from now on, understand that whenever my daughter makes any mention to you of a concern, I'm going to know about it. And if you don't do your job, I will go over your head. As well as with your principal, I will go to the school board. I will go beyond measure that you would not even want to play with me. And you can believe after that, my daughter had no more problems. Because when my daughter made mention of something, they did not brush her off. Why? Because they were going to have to deal with me. And I wasn't going to be no joke to deal with. I'm the type, I can be just as sweet can be, but I can get extremely stern when it's needed. Because see, my job is to protect my daughter. But yet, it is mandatory for my daughter to have an education. And of course, I want her to have an education. I mean, she was so smart, she was able to graduate at the age of 16. But the point of the matter is that when a kid goes to school and a kid has other than schoolwork on his mind, he's being bullied, he's afraid, he's being talked about, all these things can hinder his academic performance. It can hinder and block him from doing as well as he can do because he's got so many other pressures on his mind. How well can he do on a test when he's scared? He's not wondering, I mean, he's not knowing when he's going to get jumped on, if he's going to get jumped on, and if so, what all's going to happen to him when people decide to jump on him. That's a lot of stress for a young man that's trying to focus on his studies. So parents, get involved. Let those teachers know that if a kid comes to you, particularly your kid comes to you with an issue, if you can't handle it, then understand, I'll just go over your head. Now, I understand that you're there to teach, but why didn't you call me and make mention to me that my daughter even expressed that to you to get me involved? I never got any response or any type of notification from the teacher at all. So, because my daughter knew she could come to me about anything, I always told her, just talk with the teacher first, and if the teacher doesn't do anything, then you let me know. And that's how that went. She told me the teacher basically brushed her off. Oh, just ignore her. She's not going to do anything. No. You can't know what any of those kids would or would not do. So don't ever tell my kid, oh, ignore it. No. You just do your job. And if you can't do it, then I will find someone else who can. If you're that intimidated by your students, then I will just not even waste my time talking to you about anything else, and I'll just go directly to the principal from now on. So understand, when your kids are reaching out for help, be there. And not just listen, but help them. Help them. Get them what they need so that when they go to school, they're not in terror and in fear of what may or may not happen to them by some other student who's picking or bullying or mistreating them. None of that stuff should exist. But if it does exist, nip it. Get it nipped. That way your kid can at least excel to his or her full potential. Okay? So parents, be there. Okay? Now we're going to get on pride. Because I can pretty much get on almost any subject, so to speak. But I'm no genius. But I mean, I've been through enough to know that life is too short for nonsense. So I don't spend a lot of time dealing with nonsense. I get it nipped. Now we're talking about pride. Okay. Okay. We're talking about pride. I want to read before I just jump into it. So now we're going to read the definition of pride. Okay, as in the dictionary, and I just went on and given you the dictionary definitions rather than to try to give you my own. Feeling that you're better than others. Okay, feeling that you're better than others. So let's go to Proverbs, because I know Proverbs will dig in deep on this. Psalms and Proverbs get it. Okay, and I'll start with this one, but I'm going to go to scripture first. Pride, the greatest sin of all. Well, I don't know exactly which is the greatest sin, so I don't want to try to say which is the greatest sin, but that's just how that read. Okay, but I'm not saying that I agree with that, because you can feel that you're better than others, but some of them can get really dangerous, like wrath and envy. You know, some of those other ones can get dangerous, and even lust can get dangerous, because you get to committing adultery, lusting after some other man's wife. That could get you in a position with the jealous husband or the jealous wife, that you might end up being way in over your head. So all these can get you in trouble, but some of them I think are more dangerous than others. Proverbs 8. Proverbs and Psalm generally will tell you off. But that's what you need to grow, is to be just told the truth. Okay, let's see what it reads here. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Pride and arrogancy and the evil way and the forward mouth do I hate. So it says the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. You will despise evil, any type of evil. But pride, arrogancy, and the evil way, and the forward mouth, you got a big mouth, you're always joning on people, you're always criticizing, hating, spreading gossip. The forward mouth do I hate. So God hates all that. Okay, so let's see what else. Proverbs usually just nips it in the bud. Okay, now we go to Proverbs, because some of the other ones might tell a story and go into envy, but Proverbs just gets right to it. Proverbs and Psalms. Okay, so I'm gonna do 2 out of these, and then we're gonna what did I do? Let's try it again. Oh, okay, I see what I did now. Okay. Okay. Wrong scripture. Okay, it says, when pride cometh, excuse me, when pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. So when you got pride before you, you're going to end up being clothed with shame in the end. But with the lowly, with the humble, is wisdom. It tells you that pride goeth before a fall as well. Let me see. And something else before a lofty. It says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Humility. Okay? God will keep you if you're humble. But if you're all arrogant, it's things of, I mean, you just like we read earlier. Okay. Just like we read earlier when we talked about how if a person spoiled, how when they decided to stop spoiling, that the things that they had done to spoil others would come back on them, would come back to haunt them. That's what that primarily is letting you know. Just a minute. Sorry about that. Again. Okay. So, like it was letting you know that those that spoiled and they were not spoiled, and they dealt treacherously when they were not dealt when others had not dealt treacherously with them. And it let you know that when they decided to stop all their, you know how you get older and you mature and you grow out, you mature, and then you say, I'm changing my ways, and then all the dirt that you did is going to come back. It's going to come back to haunt you. Pride, the greatest sin of all. I don't know what's the greatest sin of all, because why? It tells you that you can be guilty. It tells you here, let's see, you can keep the whole law and be guilty in one point, but you're still guilty of all. So what would be the what would be the difference? Okay, if you keep the whole law and you're guilty in one point, then what's really the difference? You know, because let's say, for instance, if one sin is greater than another sin, but even the least of the sin, okay, even if that's the greatest sin, even if you sin the least sin, it still puts you in a hell-bound position. It says, for whosoever keepeth the whole law and yet offend in one point. You keeping the majority of all the law, but then you slipped up in one little point, he is guilty of all. So what's the point in even thinking that one sin is greater than another sin? Sin is sin. Okay, to me, there is no such thing as the greatest sin. Why? Because the least sin, you still gonna get the same consequences. You know, if sin is sin, how can you measure it? Because you're still gonna end up in the same place. Even if somebody goes to hell over pride, well, if you go over, it doesn't mention murder. You would think it says here the 7 deadliest sins, but isn't murder a sin? Or maybe it's just saying sins within. Let me see. Not sins without. Okay, lust, gluttony. Gluttony is without. Gluttony is overeating and over drinking. Those are out exteriors. Those are exterior sins. Slothfulness is exterior. Why? Because you're just sleeping all day. Wrath is anger. That's inside. Envy, wanting what somebody else got, that's internal. And pride is feeling that you're better than others, that's internal. And lust is a strong desire to have something, that's internal. But gluttony is excessive eating and drinking. And greed and slothfulness is laziness and sleepiness. Those are physical. So why would murder be on there? Murder to me should be the greatest sin of all. You know, taking a life. One of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not kill. So how can possibly pride be the greatest sin of all when sin is sin? So this is how you have to be careful when people come up with stuff, because that does not necessarily mean that the information that they're given is accurate. Because if you, sin is sin. I'm just doing 7 deadly sins simply because I happen to see it on the internet. And I said, well, I'll just go over these, but I'm going to show you other areas where it's got a whole list of other things. Having a high look, being proud, thinking that you're superior than others, you know. Having a high look, thinking you all that in a bag of chips. Looking like, hey, I got this. Looking like nobody but me. Yeah, well, I don't know what kind of look that is. I don't know if it's high or not, but it kind of looked kind of prideful, I thought. Kind of, sort of. You know, kind of prideful, I thought. Kind of, sort of. Not really. Just kind of looking in the camera. I don't know how I got some of these. He just kind of looking too. So, you know, but... and these aren't really, now that's a prideful look, you know. He's looking like, hey, I've accomplished this, I got this, you know. Only me, I did it, you know. So that's kind of like a prideful look there. But some of the others just happen to be looks. You know, and he's just, right, the first one looked like he think he all that one. But this here, he's just dancing or whatever. And that's a little prideful look. You don't see that too often in a kid. Looking up, he must have an older brother. Sometimes, this is why I try to tell you earlier that kids don't do what you say. Kids do what you do. Now this little look here is a look that he probably mimicked off of somebody older, like a big brother or something. He might have a teenage brother, and he's a wannabe, whatever, you know, a wannabe. And so he's got that look, you know how teenagers do. So this little guy here was obviously influenced by an older person. This is why I tell you that kids mimic what they see. Now, whether he taught him to this look or not, or whether he just saw his brother with this look, because I mean, even look at the hat. Kids his age don't wear a hat to the side like that. Now that's the kind of hat that somebody put on him to give him that little homey look, you know. So you could tell that he has had some type of influence that has caused that look. But it's unfortunate because he'll be a little bitty old thing in school thinking he running to school, you know, or probably might be running to school, you know, because if people look up to him like, oh, he's cool, And that's all kids got to think is, yeah, he's cool. She's just looking. I don't say that she's arrogant. Prideful. No, they just kind of looking. Now, she kind of has possibly a prideful look. Let's see. And I'm not an expert at this, but that's a really nice gown, though. It's really nice. But I don't say that she's looking prideful. She's just kind of looking. And now he's just getting off a plane, not necessarily prideful. And they just taking pictures together. Just, not to say that they're prideful. Now, they're in Las Vegas. I guess they're wanting people to see that they're in Las Vegas. I hope that they come home with their pockets the way they were before they went there, because generally when people come there, they leave empty. they come there full and leave there empty. So, and I don't say that's really prideful. He's just looking into the camera. And I don't know if he think he's Michael Jackson or what. But let's see. I think he just thinks he's somebody that he's not. Okay, but anyways, Pride just, he looked like he's just posing like a model would pose for a photo. Pride is thinking that you're better than someone else. And I'm not really quite seeing that in too many of those. So, anyways, that's pride. That's the 7 deadly sins. But there's a lot of things. There were other things, and I had taken down all these scriptures, but it would have taken like forever to go through all these scriptures. So anyways, we're going to wrap that up. At least you get an idea. I don't have to. It's those of you who are visual that gives you a better idea. Okay, because not everybody is, hands-on and stuff like that. So we're going to move to the next one. This is substance abuse. These are the abominations. These are the problems that we're having in this society. Okay, well, you know what? Before I come over here, let me... I'll come back to this. I just want to read you that there are other things in the Bible that it gives a list. What did I do? Okay. And then we're going to get on, and these are other things that are wickednesses in the land. In across the nations, or however. Okay, I'm not going to keep pulling that up. It's starting to get on my nerves. Where's Google? Okay, I lost Google. Okay, I'm going to pull Google back up because we have to get into scripture. Okay, so don't let people have you thinking that one sin is bigger than another. Sin is sin, okay? Now this is New Testament scripture, but I'm going to go ahead and go into it just to show you that there's more of a list. And I don't really understand that. And that's another sin as well that a whole lot of us have been guilty of, especially in our youth. Uh, I'm just looking for, I know it's a list, but I'll eventually find it. But I do want to say this here, show this here. Okay, this reads, Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the member of Christ and make them the members of an harlot or a whore? God forbid. No, I don't think so. It says, what? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For two, said he, shall be one flesh. So see, that's the reason why he told you that when two men are in an homosexual relationship, they both are guilty. It's no such thing as the dominant or the less dominant. They both are as guilty. Because it says here, what? Know ye not that he which is joined to a harlot or whore, is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. Once you all are joined sexually, you are like being one flesh together. And then if you are involved with someone who's got multiple partners, it's as if you're sleeping with all those partners. It's as if you, whatever, it's like if you slept with somebody who had 20 partners, and you sleeping with that one person, is almost as if you've been with all 20 of those people. At least that's what I was told. I could be wrong. I think I was told something like that in school, but I don't know. I mean, but because to me, people generally clean themselves, but maybe it's just the fluid. Well, let me not know. Try to guess it, but that's what I was told. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Flee sex without marriage. Flee multiple partners. Flee one night stands. Flee being in a relationship and you're just sexing one another and you're not married. Now, I don't know anybody, I personally don't know anybody who has not committed fornication. I don't know. I mean, everybody that I know has been guilty of that. It says, every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. So all of us have room for improvement. That's for doggone sure. I mean, I had 2 kids out of wedlock, in love with, falling in love, and you find out that these people are not what they seem. So, and if you can if you can try to control your heart, because see, once you fall in love with a man and they know you're in love with them, then it's like they start playing mind games with you to get you to do things. So be careful, guard your heart, so that if you're guarding your heart, it'll make you make wiser decisions, choices. And if he says something like, well, then I'll just have to go somewhere else. Bye. Goodbye. If that's your logic, goodbye. Let him go. Because 9 times out of 10, he's out there doing something anyways. If he makes a statement, something like that, well, if I can't get it from you, I'll get it from somebody else, where he's probably doing that anyways. The fact, if he would even make a comment like that, in my opinion. So if men try to play mind games to try to control you, and even vice versa, women playing mind games on men to try to get something out of them or however, then come on, recognize that. Don't let people walk all over you and put you in a position to cause you to get yourself in trouble, fooling with them. If they get infected and they bring it to you, now you're infected. So think about stuff like that. And it says, what? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with the price. The price, what? When the Messiah was crucified on the cross, he paid the price for our sins by shedding his blood. It tells you, for without the shedding of blood, there's no remission. So without somebody having to shed the blood of someone who's innocent, of someone who's pure, of someone who's without sin, like animals that do nothing but stand around all day and graze, well, how much sin are they actually committing? They're doing nothing but eating grass all day. And these are animals that the tribes, like the Levites, would sacrifice an innocent animal who has not committed any sin, like a lamb who does nothing but meh all day. He does nothing but graze the fields, and that's all he does. And so these are the type of animals that they sacrifice unto the Lord, because they're pure, they're innocent, they're without sin. And this is what God, or the Messiah, sent his son into the world to do, to give his life as a ransom for our sinful, because of what Adam and Eve did, because of our sin nature. He had to come and he paid the price by his blood. For ye are bought with the price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. They're not yours, they're God's. Why? Because God gave you breath to breathe. And when he decides he don't want you here, he'll take your breath away and this body will die. Then he's got control over your soul. Why? Because he has the power to put it, to allow it into his eternal glory, or to end up in an eternal hell. So he's in control of all this. Okay, we have to keep that in mind. Then it says, okay, so then, now how do we get here? No, I've forgotten where we were. Okay, let me go back and catch up to what I was looking for. I know it was something I was looking for, and I get off track. Okay, what is this? Substance abuse. So what was I looking for under substance abuse? Let me try to figure out what I was looking for. Okay, not yours. Okay, I was looking for something in 1 Corinthians 6, and I guess I must have touched on it. Let me see, what did I touch on? Such for some of you. Oh, I was looking for a list of sinful things that, okay, let me see if this will give it to me, and if I even spelled it right, because when you have not spelled, I had to. Okay, now this list is probably in the New Testament. So let me go down here. Okay, so let's go to Revelations 21, then we'll go to Revelations 22. But they're even in other locations as well. But there's a whole list of sins that we are guilty of. Let's see. I thought. Okay, I thought I got that. is Revelations 21. Okay, and I just saw the list, so let me see. Okay, well, that's strange. I really thought that was, okay, I might have to go back. Okay, here it is. Okay, it says, but the fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers, I'm surprised that wasn't on the deadly list of 7, and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Why? Because first you have a spiritual death, and then the second death is first you have a fleshly, mortal death, and then secondly you have a spiritual, immortal death. That means the first death, your body dies and it returns to the dust, or it decays and it ends up becoming, it decays. But the second death is the spiritual death. That's where he's saying, but the fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars. Now see, they didn't have one of the 7 deadly sins as being a liar. That should have been on there as well. Because your mouth can get you in a whole lot of trouble. You gotta, I'll say it time and time again, be careful what you say. Let's see, what was that? What did I just type in for that? Sorcerer? Okay. Because I thought that would probably come up under more things. That's the reason why I typed the sorcerer. So let's see. Because normally that's in with the list of things. So we just read this. So now we'll go to Revelation 22. And then I'm going to go to some other ones because they give a list of things as well. And then it just basically just says, for without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. Okay, so all these liars. But let's get into this. Abusers. Well, actually, this is what we're about to get on anyways. So, it kind of will make sense that we came to this. Okay, this is... Okay. Now, we were just on this. Okay, let me check it out. Okay. Yeah, we were just over here. And I missed all this. Okay. Okay, it says, know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor rivalers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you. But ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Messiah, Yahushua. I don't follow that name anymore. By the Spirit of our God. And this is New Testament scripture, I know, but it goes more into, and I mean Leviticus says a lot as well. Leviticus reads about how you do not, it goes into details how you don't sleep with this, that, and the other. Let me see something. And then they go into other things that I know that we had discussed previously. Okay. Thou shalt, and see, this is what Leviticus goes into, which is awesome because it gets with it. And you can't get around this. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. We read that before. If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them. And you know, we're talking about God, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind. Because God take your breath away, you will drop. I mean, you most certainly will no longer be standing on your feet. And this is another one here. Let me go to 1 Timothy. Because, I mean, they give you a list of things of what could get you in trouble with God. So, it's no such thing as what is the greatest sin. Look, sin is sin. So, don't be naive enough to think that there's one sin greater than the other. Sin is sin. Let me see if I can go down here. Okay. I thought okay, maybe let's try this again. Okay, let's see. I don't know what all this is saying. Okay, it says, know this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient. See, righteous people aren't going to be out doing dirt. So it says, know this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient. It's made for the ones who's doing wrong. It's not made for the ones who's doing right. It's made for the ones who's doing wrong. For the ungodly and for sinners. It says, okay, know that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, and for the ungodly and for the sinner, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars. Isn't that amazing how liars keep coming up? for perjured persons, for perjured persons. And if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. I mean, I don't recall ever reading this one before, because I do not ever recall reading murderers of mother and murderers of fathers and manslayers. I might have read and just didn't absorb it. But we're going to get into this, though. Knowing this, that the law was not made for a righteous man, a man that's already doing the right thing, but it was made for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly, for the sinner. For the ungodly and for the sinner, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind. We about to get into this right now. For them that defile themselves with mankind. What does that mean? That means that a person who is polluting themselves up with the inventions of man, with what man has come up with what man has created. For men stealers, that's like trafficking, human trafficking. For liars keep coming up, so that's something we really need to work on. For perjured persons,